In ancient times, methods of studying the world and finding out why things are what they are were very limited at best. In the face of cruel Mother Nature and terrifying uncertainty, early societies turned to various religions to make sense of the world around them. Ancient art is often associated with religion, and because they needed a place to worship their god or set of gods, this art extends to the various feats of architecture to make their place of worship just a little more grandiose and sacred. The primary religions of the East are Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, and Shintoism. The various temples and their features help our fledgling and flourishing nations and peoples understand and rationalize natural phenomena. In Hindu architecture, there were two distinct regional styles and one that borrowed elements of both. You have the Nagara-style temples that were common in the north, Dravida-style temples that were common in the south, and the Vasara that were common in central India. The most notable difference between the Nagara and Dravida-style temples is the design of the tower that sits above the temple. Here we can see the mandapa. The mandapa is a large pillared hall designed for communal worship and public rituals. Hinduism does not call for communal worship, so this hall was not part of the original design for a Hindu temple. A large temple can have more than one mandapa, each serving different purposes. The Garbhagriha is the inner sanctum of the temple and is the place where the idol resides. The Garbhagriha was intentionally poorly lit in order to draw attention to the divine presence of the idol, and was large enough for visitors to circle the idol. Practitioners of Hinduism believed that the idols of the deities in these temples was not just a symbol, but an embodiment of that deity. Here we have two idols that would have been seen in these temples. On the left, we have a depiction of Vishnu carved into stone. On the right, we have a lingam, which represents the Hindu deity Shiva. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are the Trimurti, the three principal gods in charge of the creation, protection, and destruction of the world. The tower structure of a Hindu temple is known as the Sakara in the north and the Vimana in the south. This structure sits directly above the Garbhagriha and is generally hollow, but cannot be seen from the Garbhagriha. Buddhists built caves such as the Ajanta to help with the lifestyle of a Buddhist. The importance of Buddhism is to concentrate in finding the path to enlightenment. Buddhism involves tons of meditation, which is the reason why many of these caves are often built in isolated areas, just like the side of this cliff. A chaitya is a Buddhist shrine or prayer hall with a stupa at one end, often used to denote an assembly or prayer hall that houses a stupa. Chaityas provide a wide space in front of these stupas where the faithful ones could gather. There are more than 20 caves in Ajanta built for Buddhism. Here are some murals within the Ajanta cave. Murals are made to show the importance of Buddhist belief within the 5th century. Vast murals were also made to tell the story of Buddha's previous life as Vasantara, a king of legendary generosity. Qingyang Palace was built after a certain legend about Lao Tzu. It is said that Lao Tzu preached a text of Tao Te Ching to a General Yingxi at a gate. Before Lao Tzu could finish, he had to leave. So Lao Tzu asked Yingxi to meet him where Qingyang Palace is located today to finish preaching the Taoism texts. When Yingxi arrived, he saw Lao Tzu leading 2 black goats. After the texts were finished being explained, a palace was eventually built at the site to dedicate and worship Lao Tzu. This became the legend of Qingyang Palace and the birthplace of Taoism. The palace is divided into 6 main buildings that are supported by columns and have upturned roofs. The halls show a traditional Chinese Taoist style: glazed tiles, animals carved into pillars, and the eternal duality of yin-yang. The Sangqing Hall has 2 bronze goats that sit in front of the palace that are symbols for the legend. Although one goat has a single horn that contains 12 Chinese zodiac signs, many people believe that anyone who touches it could survive from illness and mischance. The 8-diagram pavilion is a 3-story octagonal building with a square foundation symbolic of the earth and its cylindrical body. The building has 2 stories of upturned roofs covered in yellow, green, and purple ceramic tiles. Each facet of the octagon has a center plaque of the 8 trigrams set off by a pattern of swastikas, symbolic of the sun or the movement of fire. The pavilion contains stone pillars that are carved with figures of dragons, and enclosing the life-size statue of Lao Tzu riding a buffalo. The 81 carved dragons are said to symbolize the 81 incarnations of Lao Tzu. Confucianism, while not much of a religion as it was a philosophy or method of governing, did have specific temples that venerated and sometimes deified its founder, Confucius. Typical features of Confucian temples included stele in front of it that recorded any government official or scholar that had passed the civil service examination. Spiritual tablets were particularly noteworthy in Chinese culture, as it was not limited to Confucianism, because it was customary to give thanks to your ancestors, and later your parents, as they were the ones who shaped you into the person you become. In our case, Confucianism uses spiritual tablets to honor and worship the spirits of Confucius and sometimes his disciples. The primary surviving ancient Confucian monument is the Temple of Confucius, located in his hometown of Chufu, where in the 5th century BCE, Duke Ai of Lu built a temple and sacrificed to Confucius' spirit. This temple is the largest of its kind in China, covering approximately 16,000 square meters in total. Divided by 6 gates, each structure is dedicated to a certain person important to Confucius, such as his wife, who rests in the chamber hall, or the resting hall. There are also 500 stelae scattered around the temples. Written on them are the commemorations of rebuildings or renovations, or simply texts that praise Confucius, or imperial edicts granting him honorary titles. Early Japanese societies venerated and revered the kami that dwelled in the trees, rocks, and water. They practiced Shintoism, which emphasizes the harmonious relationship between nature and the divine authority of the imperial family. To them, not only they dwelled in the natural world, but they resided in the iwakura, or shrines. It is believed that these supernatural beings in these shrines determined a good harvest or not. That being said, the Japanese built the Ise shrine to honor the sun goddess Amaterasu, whom the imperial family descended from. The Ise shrine is divided into 2 sets of shrines. The inner shrine, the Naiku, which enshrines the ancestral god of the imperial family, and the outer shrine, the Geku, dedicated to the local gods. Instead of covering all 120 shrines within the area, we will focus on the inner shrine. The inner shrine is constructed in Japanese cypress and is 36 feet wide and 18 feet deep. All the shrine buildings have columns embedded in the earth. The floor is elevated and verandas surround the building. A staircase leads to the entrance and central doorway. There are no openings in the plank walls. On the ridge of the thick reed thatched roof are 10 ridge billets, and the barge boards project upwards through the roof to form 2 pairs of forked finials at the ends of the ridge. When Buddhist temples were being built in Japan, Shinto architecture was favored due to preserving unique characteristics. That's why it became so customary to rebuild shrines every 20 years, or the Shikinen Sengu, which means to transfer sacred objects to new shrines in certain ceremonial years. As you can see in this slide, there's very little difference between the 1973 shrine and the 2013 shrine. The goal of periodic rebuilding is to keep the structure unchanged and prosperous with every generation to come. Shinto architecture is an homage to tradition in Japan, as it contributes to the landscapes and reflects the reverence to the spirits that inhabit it.